Hello. So I was trying to do a live stream, was supposed to have it at noon Pacific Standard Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I had problems with sound, and then trying to get the sound to work, I ended up not able to reconnect. So I spent this whole time basically just trying to get reconnected. So it's reconnected now, but this was not the time it was intended. So yeah, but I'll still do it. And then I'll maybe do it a little later again today so people have some notice. Oh wait, I forgot about the chat here. It'd be helpful if I had that open, wouldn't it? Bear with me as I go to the chat. Wait, I forgot about the chat here. Okay, Erica, there you are. Yay, audio. Hi again, how are you? You still with me, eh? Yeah, that was a pain in the butt, that. It's okay though, it's all working now. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. I know that Saturday at this time is one of the busier times for YouTube for videos being uploaded and watched, is Saturday afternoons and mornings. So maybe it was just that. Maybe there's just so many people live streaming that it wouldn't connect. I don't know. So we're gonna talk about practice tips and ways to make your practice time very effective. And I have a little list of things we're going to talk about. But maybe we'll just goof around for a minute, see if anybody wants to show up and take part in this. How are you doing, Erica? Erica, pretty good. How about yourself? Yeah, I'm doing good, Erica. Yep, that was kind of a rough start. I was hoping for a smoother start for sure. You know, when you kind of get ready to do something and then it doesn't go as planned. But that's okay. I'm here now. See if anybody kind of shows up for it. I kind of, part of the reason I wanted to do this at this hour was to see if it made much difference as far as people watching just on the channel, right? Because I think more, hey, Red Gremlin, some blues, yeah, eh? Yeah, good to see you too, Red Gremlin. I'm glad you made it in here. So the plan was to make the most of our practice time. And we're going to talk about it here. We're just kind of goofing around for a minute, seeing if anybody else is showing up. It's a strange thing about the live streaming, because you want to kind of build a lesson so that it gets put back up on the site for people to use. But at the same time, if I have a list of things I want to talk about for making our practice time more effective, but if I start now and then, you know, again, that's, as this gets better and I have scheduled times, this will get better for sure. So Erica says something that's kind of funny is that she wasn't really into the blues until I learned how to play a bit. So now I'm down for some blues lessons. Yeah, Red Gremlin, love it, man. How long you been playing? I've been playing a long time. Oh my goodness, how long have I been playing? 30 years, probably. Maybe more. I think it's probably right around 30, actually. I started when I was 15, I'm 45. Maybe started at 14. Yeah, been playing a long time, for sure. But I still love it. The beautiful thing about this instrument is we can spend our lifetime really trying to get really good at it. That, you know, I'm still learning, and people think I'm making this up, but I'm still learning as much now as I did 20 years ago. You know, like, okay, so I know some things for sure, but it doesn't take much searching for me to find things I can't play or don't understand very well. So that never ends. And that's why this, again, the practice tips we're about to talk about, that's some of the things we're going to talk about is if you have a core group of things that you constantly work on, it doesn't end. You will always find things you can improve on because, yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable instrument. The capabilities of it are crazy. So, do you want to do, well, I tell you what, since it's just a small group of us here at the moment, before we get right into the practice stuff, the practice tips, does anybody want to talk about anything specifically? We brought up the blues because Red Gremlin mentioned the blues. Do you want to learn a little blues riff or something? I have a few on the site that are kind of fun. I have one in the free section of the site that I could put a link to. Elmo Magic. Hi, thanks for coming in. Could you play any classical guitar music? Yeah, I mean, I'm playing on a steel string. I have a cheap classical guitar, but I love to play classical guitar. And I could, and I would like to, because I don't really have any classical stuff on the channel, and I'd have to kind of get back into playing a lot of the pieces myself. But oddly enough, when I was trying to get the live stream to work, because I was having trouble with it getting to work here today, I was thinking about, I did a live stream on some basic finger picking stuff, and some people had suggested doing a more difficult one, and I remembered this pattern from years ago teaching a student who was very much into classical guitar. It was just this one little finger picking pattern. I thought it was really cool. You could learn that. Again, we're supposed to be talking about practice tips here, but and we will. I think we're just because this didn't start as it was scheduled like it was supposed to because of I was having trouble with the live stream. So now we're on basically an hour from when it was supposed to start. What have I missed here? Let's see. Erica, oh, I learned that one, and it integrate with my guitar classes blues unit. Oh, cool. You're taking some guitar classes, Erica. Awesome. Which one? This one, the one I was doing? It's a very, very old blues riff for sure. Some people know it from that one Cream song with Eric Clapton, but I think it's a very, very old riff. Erica, what's the difference between normal and a classical guitar? Yeah, that's a good question. Oh yeah, cool. So she did say that's the one that you. Yeah, it's super fun, right? It's pretty easy and fun. It's on the site. I have it on the site too. I have a bunch of jam tracks up there to play along with too. And I actually did a video series, and it's totally free. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually think there's a link to it. But it's up and it's done. It's just recently finished, and I don't think I've put a link to it yet. But I will. But it basically takes that playing over that blues, and I use like start with just a minor pentatonic scale, and then I turn it into a blues scale, and then I look at using dominant 7th chords to solo, and then combining all of it to make for some really interesting soloing stuff. So what's the difference between a normal and a classical guitar? So mostly, Erica, the big difference is a classical guitar, also known as a nylon string guitar, has nylon strings versus steel strings. So I mean, most of the time when we use the word acoustic guitar, we're talking about a steel string acoustic guitar, where a classical guitar is going to have nylon strings and is typically played with classical music. Although there's been lots of pop and rock examples of people playing nylon string guitars. Yeah, that's the biggest difference. Anyway, oh, and then the neck is a little wider on the nylon string. And typically the tuning pegs, instead of going out this way, go back like on this thing on the sides. Anyway, yeah, so let's see. So again, we're going to talk about practice tips, and there's a few more people coming in. So welcome, thank you for coming in to watch. At the moment, we're just kind of hanging out because the start didn't start the way it was supposed to start on time because I was having technical issues. So, but we are going to get into a whole bunch of practice tips. But at the moment, we're just kind of feel free to throw anything at me if there's anything that we wanted to do. We talked about maybe learning a blues riff. We talked about playing some classical guitar stuff. So I don't know if anybody has any interest in just learning. I was just saying that as I was waiting for the live stream to start, because I was having so much trouble with it actually getting live, I was just sitting playing a pattern that I remembered from years ago that I taught with a student. I could shows you all that if you had any interest in that, or we can do, or somebody mentioned a blues thing. Do a little Stevie. No. I'm just goofing around. So, yeah, so again, the point of these live streams is to connect with you guys and really do whatever you guys want to do, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to learn. But since we titled it Practice Tips, let's go there for a minute. But feel free, anybody watching, to throw anything at me on that list and we can talk about that. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm just opening up a metronome app on my phone, because I'm sure if you don't already know, metronomes are Alex. Hi Teague, how are you? What are you going to speak about the practice time? Alex, thanks. I'm just jumping into it now because we started late and it's a little haphazard here. But hey Paul, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Erica said she'd like to learn the blues a bit after the practice tips. So Erica wants to stay on point. Let's do what we said we were going to do. So that's what we'll do. Yeah, so who just asked? Alex, yeah, the practice tips. Yeah, so we're going to talk about a handful of things that I think are a very important part of a daily practice routine. Those are going to include obviously some warm-ups, which can very much lead themselves into technique, scales, and arpeggios. We'll talk about what those are and how to make those more fun so they're not so boring. And you'll see there are all kinds of ways to make those fun. Chords, we're going to talk about, like, I think we should always be working to expand our chord vocabulary. And it's unlimited on this instrument, as we will talk about when we get there. And rhythms, we should always be working to increase our rhythm playing. That applies both to strumming, like rhythm playing, but also just rhythms in general. Because we can take the same rhythm that we might play, you know, say, you know, if our tempo is here and I'm going to go down, down, up. So it's an eighth with 2/16, down, down, up. But I could also apply that to just a string. Right? Take away the rest. So that's just one basic rhythm that we could look at as a strum pattern that we would strum, but we can also then, we could take that same rhythm and turn it into a. What a mess. Anyway, yeah, we'll come back. So rhythms, expanding our chord knowledge. I'll show you lots of helpful tips for keeping, you know, because we're like, okay, well, I know maybe my bar chords and I know my open chords. How do I keep expanding? It's endless. I'll show you it, and I mean it. It really is completely endless. And I think some of the things I'll show you are stuff that really we could practice for decades to make more sense of this instrument. Arpeggios, which are broken chords, but they're very, very important for a lot of reasons. We just talked about them over the blues. A lot of people, when they play over a blues, tend to use a blues scale, but outlining the arpeggios, specifically dominant seventh arpeggios, because that's what the blues typically consists of, is a great way to create a different sound over the blues. And then, of course, songs. You have to have songs in your practice routine. What fun is it to play guitar if you're not playing songs? And then improv. I think improvising is a big, important part of practicing. For the creative mind, it's fun. And as you see, there's a lot of ways to take some of those other things, like our scales or arpeggios or our chords for that matter, and work them into an improvised setting, so that instead of, like, let's say I'm just working on my F triads on strings 2, 3, 4. So these are just all F chords, just on strings 2, 3, 4. If I'm just practicing those, you know, that's not very fun. But if I make it part of like a song, or I have a jam track that maybe is just like a. Or I could turn it into a. Into like a finger picking exercise. So I'm working on those chords, but I'm also having a little bit more fun than just playing them as they are. Yeah. Okay. So that was just a quick overview. Let's actually do it for real if we're ready. So two things. There's nothing like daily practice. I know it's tough to do, but really there is nothing like it. I've just recently been back practicing a lot of piano pieces that I used to play, and a couple new ones. And the difference I see when I'm practicing daily versus once every 3 days or 4 days, or just when it's kind of sporadic, it's unbelievably. So hands down, when teachers say practice daily, and that's the same thing for almost anything in life. You want to improve your golf game? Play daily. You want to get better at snowboarding? Go up every day. But I know that it's hard to do. So what we're talking about now is some practice tips. And even if we can't do daily, this is still going to help us have a very guided regimen that will allow us to really progress as a player and really feel like we're making some progress. But daily, if you can, is definitely the way to go. It doesn't have to be long. You don't have to sit and do an hour a day. You can do 10 minutes a day and make a big dent, believe it or not. Richard, how are you? Hi, thanks for coming in and watching. So feel free, Richard, to throw anything at me. We're talking about practice tips. We're just kind of getting in. We just went over where we're going to go with this live stream, the topics we're covering as far as practicing. And we've also just been talking about a lot of other stuff. Ace Chroma, hello, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Again, same thing I just told Richard. Feel free to throw anything at me at all. That's the brilliant part of these live streams, is it's a chance for you to really ask anything. If you came here from one of my other videos, you know, because we're talking about practicing, and basically any question you bring to me, we can pretty much turn into practice tips. But okay, so let's start. So we said number one, let's practice daily. One other thing that's important, and then we're going to get into our first topic, a metronome. So I'm just using an app on my phone. You can just download them. There's tons of free ones, right? I think you can probably hear that. I'll turn it up a bit. I would imagine that's audible. So I have that set at 75 beats per minute. If I set it at 60, right, 60 would be here's 60. That's the second hand on the clock, just for anybody that doesn't know. Metronomes are really important for a lot of different reasons. They're going to help us plot our progress. It's like if you were weightlifting or running and you track your weight and your time to keep getting better. So it'll be really good for plotting our progress. Believe it or not, it's actually good for focus, for learning to focus your mind. You'll see sometimes in the beginning it doesn't feel that way because playing with the metronome is like, oh, I want to throw it through the window. But it does. It gets where you can focus better. And then Alex asked, do you always use a metronome with the accent on the first beat? No, actually, Alex, I don't. And this is a new app because for some reason the other app I deleted or something. So I just put this on there. I actually can't figure out how to take the accent off. Oh, simple as that. Okay, the accent's gone. But I will say the accent on the first beat does have its purpose for sure, and I do sometimes use it, especially if I'm playing something, you know, that I'm having trouble making sure I'm playing exactly, like say it's one measure in 4/4. I'm having trouble having it come back around to start on 1, and I'm not sure if it did start on 1. Like, am I now on beat 2? Because with the metronome, right, it could be any beat, right? Where is 1? Well, 1's wherever you put it. So by having it accent, oops, how do I get it to accent again? There we go. That lets us know that, oh, I did it right. I ended up, you know, whatever my pattern was, like I just did, oh no, it's not up yet. But I actually made the video already, but I've not put it up. I did the second part for the finger picking. Anyone that just watched that, which I just put up a few days ago, which was just this very simple 6-2-1 finger picking pattern. On the second video in that series, I go 6-2-1, 6-2-1, 6-2. So I make it an 8-note pattern. So it's got a group of 3, and then a group of 2. So you have 8 notes all together. That might be useful with a metronome with that accent, so that way I know that I'm actually playing it right and I'm back on the beat. So let's see. So the metronome, the importance of the metronome. Another thing a metronome is doing is it's allowing us to learn to listen. So almost more importantly than steady time, which is what we think we're using a metronome for, is to play and, you know, have a steady time, which we want to have that too. But it's developing our listening skills. Because when we play with different people, not everybody plays as, I mean, the part of the human experience with music is that we can kind of speed up and slow down. And again, coming back to that finger picking thing lesson I did a few weeks ago, you know, I can just play it all with the metronome the exact speed, but when I go like, you can see that we can create a lot of emotion varying our tempo, right? Speeding up and slowing down. So one of the things the metronome is doing is helping us learn how to listen, to be able to hear. Okay, so let's jump in. So you put the metronome at 60. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. I don't know, not really for any real reason other than just practice whatever tempo you want. I mean, the tempo will fluctuate according to what you're working on. So so I always like to start the very first part of my practice routine with it's a warm-up of some sort, but I turn it into an exercise on something I'm growing on. So the one I always teach first students is just putting each finger on a fret. So I say on my 5th fret on my low E string gives me an A, and then my 2nd fret on the 6th fret for an A sharp or B flat, whatever you want to call it. 3rd finger on the 7th fret for a B, pinky on the 8th fret for a C. I'm going to leave the fingers down as I drop each other finger in there too. And if I'm really new to playing, I'm probably just going to downpick all this. If I played for a while, maybe we'll work on my alternate picking. So here's a very basic thing to start your practice routine with. And people go, well, that's pretty boring, but this is endless. You can turn this into anything you want. So we can take, remember how I said we were going to work on rhythm? So we can take this exercise and take our rhythm parts of our practice routine and apply it to this. We're going to go there in just a moment. But so I could put my metronome on. I could practice these as quarter notes, 8th notes, triplets, which is 3 notes evenly spaced in one beat. Triplet, triplet, triplet. 16th notes. I'm just going up. I could go back down. What if I switch the pattern? What if I go 1, 3, 2, 4? Alex says, oh God, triplets, yeah. What if I go 4, 2, 3, 1? What if I go 4, 1, 2, 3? Oh, which was it, Alex? That did you mention the yeah, the metronome on the beat? It just made me think of something really interesting there. So you know when I did right there where I started on the C, so I went 4, 1, 2, 3. But you notice the order ends up being the same. I'm gonna do 8th notes for a second. So the only thing that's changed is but these are still going in the same order. So what's cool about that, this is where you can use that accent on beat 1. So when I first started it, I started with my accent here. Oh, sorry, I did not. Let me do it now. Well, what if I start with 2? What if I start with 3? Kind of neat, right? And if we put a drum beat on, we'd hear that even more effectively. So it's changing. It also is going to change kind of how we're picking that, because if you're starting with this as beat 1, down, up, but if this is beat 1, your second note, which was an up just a second ago, is now a down. So we just changed how that feels. And then, so this is what I would say is the #1 thing. should start when you practice. That doesn't have to be this finger exercise. It could be a scale, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But if you don't feel like taking the brain, I'm going to turn the metronome off for a minute. If you don't feel like, you know, the brain power to like think about scales, especially if they're new and you're like, I don't want to think about it, then this is the beauty of this exercise. You just decide whatever it is you want to work on. And here's the trick. Whatever you pick, that, okay, I'm going to work on 4, 2, 3, 1. I could do it on my neck string. So I could do it on any string. I could move it. Switched it at the end. But I think you're kind of getting the idea, right? You just want to pick a pattern and you want to devote probably at least a week, if that's saying if we're going to do daily. You don't have to spend very much time on it. Seriously, with the metronome on, if you did it for 2 minutes, that's plenty. Or a drum beat. Drum beats are fun too, right? And then deciding, you know, to practice those different rhythms too. So Alex says, oh God, triplets. Yep. Triplets feel different, right? But that finger picking exercise I just did, which I think I just posted up a day or two ago, that was using, I did it when we concentrated on triplets because I was just using a 3-finger pattern, right? Thumb, index, middle. And so if you play those as triplets, the thumb is always hitting with the click. Could move my thumb to the 5th string or the 4th string or the 3rd string. So those are 16th note triplets there. Oh, we're talking about quarter note triplets. Yeah, so placing 3 quarter notes over 2. Triplet, wait, triplet, 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 triplet. Sorry. Triplet, 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 triplet. Yeah, the quarter note triplets are tricky, Alex, for sure. Faster the tempo, sometimes maybe they're a little bit easier. I think they're harder at slow tempos. Okay, so that's number 1. So, and I still practice those all the time. I don't really think there's an end to that because you can constantly increase this tempo. You can change your rhythms. You can change the patterns. One other thing you're doing there too is you're practicing sending a signal from the brain to your fingers. So like if you just have your metronome on, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna switch strings. I'm gonna shift back, string. So you're working on that process of having a thought very quickly and then moving it to the guitar, which is very important. And in time, oops, sorry. Okay, what's next? So yeah, so if you didn't want to do finger gymnastics, which I call those, then the next logical place would be actual scales. Major scales and minor scales and the different modes and harmonic minor scales and melodic minor scales. There's all kinds of different scales, so it's pretty endless the amount of time we could spend there. The other thing that I think is very important on the guitar with scales is learning them in positions, which is what I did with the member section of the site, right? Is you start with one, and then you use a second one. It's the same scale, just in a different position. And then as you get familiar with those, you can move them to different keys, right? So I have a C scale in second, I move it up a whole step. It's a D scale in fourth. So I would take the same principles with what we did here in the beginning, but I would use my scales. And I might play patterns on the scale. I might go from the first to the third note, second to the fourth, or up 3, back 1, or up 4, back 2. Oh, I just noticed that people had told me that when I have another screen open, and somebody said that when I'm live streaming, it says on all the videos, it says that I'm live streaming right now. How cool is that? Well, that's pretty neat. You'd think it might bring more people in. The channel is getting about 100,000 views a month, so what's that, about 3,000 a day or so? So there's people watching the videos on this channel. You'd think more would pop in. I would be curious. If I was on somebody's channel and I see that they're live right now, I would totally be popping in. Like, oh, what's that about? Anyway, let's see. Okay, so that scales. And the trick with scales, just like with the finger gymnastics, you have one thing you're working on that you stay on for a week or two, and then you expand on that. Okay. Next up is chords, increasing our chord vocabulary. So if you feel like you have a pretty good grip on your open chords, then and you feel like you know your kind of basic. There's a handful of shapes here that we want to know. One I refer to as 6. So far, so good. Good, Erica. The 6-string chords. They use all 6 strings. So I have a major. I have a minor, I have a minor 7th, I have a dominant 7th, I have a major 7th, I have a minor 7 flat 5, I have a diminished. So we should know those. And then we can do that same thing on what I call 5-string chords. So they would be major, minor, minor 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7 flat 5, diminished. Paul says, please talk about scales only today. Like, just stay on scales. Like, don't talk about any of the other topics. We could do that. I mean, there's only a couple people in here, so we can really talk about whatever you feel like talking about. Erica seems pretty down to talk about anything. So yeah, Paul, we could definitely focus on some scales for a moment. Where do you want to go there? How long have you played, I guess? Do we want to go right back to like C major, like how I would teach scales with beginning lessons with me? Or I'll give you a second. I know there's a bit of a time delay. You can answer that, Paul, and let me know what you think. But I'll just finish the thought, I guess, with those chords. So you can see that was a lot of chords just between a 6-string set of chords and a 5-string set of chords. And then we could also spend time learning our triads on sets of strings, like learning 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. And then we could take our with our 4 chords, 4-note chords in each of these same thing, strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, we can spend our entire life learning the fretboard and learning chords. So that's endless. So we just want to make sure you do is that you're adding, you're trying to always add a new chord to your practice thing. And just like in the beginning, and you probably both remember, when you're first learning like the very first chord shapes that we switched, they're hard. Like as far as and the same thing goes as we progress and we find new shapes and stuff, like when we're trying to move quickly, you know, between two shapes. It doesn't, they'll come together maybe a little bit faster because, again, as you get your, you know, more dexterity in your fingers and more of that kind of mind finger message is getting passed back and forth really quick. So Erica says she doesn't really care what we talk about. I like scales. It'd be nice to go over more bar chords too and tips with those. And then Paul says harmonic scales and how we can make some pieces if we play C major, for example. Okay, so Leah, let's do both. In fact, we'll combine them. We'll talk about some bar chords and tips with those, and we'll use a harmonic minor scale. So the first thing to know, like, the sound that we know we hear the most often is built a major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And most of the, you know, music that we hear, if we're talking pop radio especially, and I use pop like country, rock, dance, electronic, whatever, it's tends to be built around a major scale or a minor scale. Every major scale has a relative minor, which means that it's basically the same notes just starting on a different degree of the scale. So for example, if I play a C major scale that looks like this, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So notice I didn't say any sharps or flats. I just used the alphabet letters, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If I start on A, one of the notes in that scale, I could have started on the A I played here, but I'm just going to play it here. And I go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. I just played an A minor scale. So it was all the same notes. All I really did was start on a different note. And interesting, that's where the mode comes from. So modes. So if you ever hear somebody talk about Phrygian or Dorian, it's just playing. So if I play that same C scale, which I played as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If I start on D, but play the same notes, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. That's Dorian. I know we're jumping like, but I just thought I would explain that really quick. The modes, the names sound frightening, and the concept kind of is frightening, but the reality of it is it isn't really. So anyway, so let's come back. So I'm gonna use, I'll use. So I think what we'll maybe do, Paul, you said like C major, for example. So C major's relative minor is A minor. And there is no a harmonic major scale. There's just a harmonic minor scale. So if I have my A minor scale, here, let's do it. And Erica, you might have fun with this too. It's going to create a cool sound, and then we'll relate it to some bar chords that we can use. I haven't been able to figure out how to get my looping pedal and stuff working with the live streaming, but it would be really cool if I could, because then we could really kind of take these to another level. Anyway, let's go. So let's start on our 5th fret of our E string for an A, then our 7th fret on the same string for a B, 8th fret for a C, A, B, C. The same thing on the next string, D, 7th fret, oh sorry, 5th fret, 7th fret for the E, 8th fret for the F. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F. And actually going back to the first things we were talking about when we were talking about practicing like warm-ups, look at this. We have a pattern right here, a 3-note pattern. Could go backwards. Could mix it up. Look at the pattern. Look at what we just, right there, just with 6 notes. Okay, so if I was to continue to play A minor, I would go 5th fret to 7th fret, G, A. But we're going to do harmonic minor. A harmonic minor scale is just a minor scale with a raised 7th degree. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was my 7, that 5th fret of my D string for a G. I'm raising it to G sharp. Aha! And now we have the infamous harmonic minor sound.
Doing this.
Oh.
Hey, Haley.
I keep doing that. Hey, Haley, look, it's another live stream of mine from before. So I was mostly harmonic minor there. My mind wandered a little bit, and I ventured in and out of a few other things. But for the most part, I was staying with harmonic minor. So again, welcome anybody else coming in here to view. Hi, thanks for dropping in. So the harmonic minor again, Paul, we're just going, I'm just going to say the fret names for a moment. 6 string, 5, 7, 8. 5, 7, 8 again on your 5th string. And then 6 to 7 on your 4th string. That gives us the sound of a harmonic minor. Yeah, so A minor is the relative minor of the key of C. So in other words, basically we have 12 notes in music. We have the 7 alphabet letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, happening over and over again. And this is in all of Western civilization's music. And it's everything we're talking about. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. We're talking about, you know, amazing classical music up to fantastic jazz of the 30s and 40s, and talking about rock and roll or metal, or everybody's using these same 12 tones, except there's are places in the world where are using different, like in India, parts of India, and are different. But for the most part, everything that we know, assuming we are, you know, I guess I'm making an assumption that we're, you know, from Europe or Canada or United States, or anyway, you can tell me where you're from, and then we know for sure. But anyway, so the 12-tone system is based on 7 alphabet letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, over and over again. This applies to every instrument, whether we're talking about guitar, violin, piano, voice, recorder, bass, cello, and then 5 sharps or flats. So on a piano, if you notice, there's a group of black keys, and there's a group of 3 and a group of 2. Those are the 5 sharps or flats, and they both have 2 names, but we don't care about them yet. And then the 7 alphabet letters. That's our 12 tones that just keep happening over and over again. We can arrange those 12 tones in different orders to give us different sounds, hence the name of scales. So somebody somewhere along the line had to decide, well, hey, if I play these notes in this order, or even if you think probably before there was even an instrument, if I just go, if I start just singing and I start going up, I'm choosing to pick pitches. So somewhere along the line became names of the scales. And the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, became what, you know, an awful lot of music is based on. And each of those, so since there's 12 notes in music, there's 12 major scales. Each of those 12 major scales has something called a relative minor. And its relative minor means it's using all of the same notes, but because they're played starting in a different, it has a different sound, right? Because our C major scale, notice it kind of sounded bright and happy. Sorry. Here was the A minor scale. If we want to compare the two just really quickly, I'll play an A major scale and an A minor scale. Now, A major had 3 sharps, A minor has none. So I know a bit confusing, but here's all we really want to remember at this point. There's 12 notes in music. There's 12 major scales, and every major scale has a relative minor, which means it's basically the exact same scale, but it sounds different because we're starting on a different degree of this major scale. We're starting on a different note. And the other interesting thing that's kind of cool about that is all the chords are the same. So the chords in the key of C major or the chords in the key of A minor are the same. So somebody might say, well, then how do I know what key it is it in? And there's a few different things we can do to figure that out. One, depending on the chord that's the song starts on, depending what the melody does, and sometimes it's actually a little bit ambiguous. It's a bit kind of hard to do. So Paul says, I'm aware of the major minor thing. Yeah, cool, Paul. Yeah. So Yeah, and sorry if I was long-winded there. Sometimes I do that, and it's tricky with some more viewers have come in. It's tricky to know where everybody's level is at, and that's the trick with group teaching. I used to do a lot of group teaching in person years ago, and of course, trying to get people on the same level and the same interest is ideally what happens, but it's tricky. And with the live streams here, I don't really know where everybody's at, so I just sometimes blabble on about whatever. So okay, awesome, Alex. So you have some. Alex just said he knows the 12 major scales and the modes depending on where you start. So he has some pretty good idea of scales and modes. So awesome. So let's come back, Alex, into specifically talking about harmonic minor. So we know that we have a major key, and its major key has a relative minor. So in this case, we just chose the key of C because it has no flats or sharps. If you just sit on a piano and play white keys. Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. It was a question, Alex. That I didn't read that right. Yes, absolutely, Alex. So okay, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read that. Yeah, Alex, I'm gonna try to clarify. That was, yeah, I read it quickly and I didn't quite understand. So Alex says, so learn your 12 major scales and then you know all the modes depending on which route you are starting on. Yes, you are right. So to go just a little, or maybe clarify that even a little more. Let's just talk about one major scale for one moment. And let's say we use that C major scale again. You know, something else that is good is to do a scale on a string, because then we see the relationship between the notes. We don't have a C string, so that doesn't work as well. But for now, we'll stay where we are. And I'm just using this C scale in 5th position. So yeah, we would like to take the major scale and then move it through the 12 keys so we know where it is. The beautiful thing about the guitar is when you have a fingering, if I move it up, it becomes those other major scales. So you learn one pattern and it's gonna move across all 12 keys. So yeah, so we do want to learn our 12 major scales, and then depending on the note that you play, and hopefully Alex, this is answering the question a little clearer. Depending on the note that you start on is going to absolutely give it the mode name. So I'm going to come back here to let's talk about just the notes in the key of C, or whatever we want to say here. The white keys on the piano, we're not playing any sharps or flats. If I start on C and I play from C to C, I have what we call a C major scale. If I start on A and play from A to A, I have what we call the A minor scale. It actually is also called A Aeolian. I know, like we had to make it harder. It has 2 names, but that's the mode name. I would call it A minor. Yeah, and if we started on the second note of the scale, D, that the second mode of a major scale is Dorian. But again, it's the same notes. I'm just playing D to D. If I start on E, I have Phrygian. If I start on F, I have Lydian. G, I have Mixolydian. A, we said, was Aeolian or minor. I would call mine minor. And B is Locrian. But it's the same notes. So by learning that one scale shape, yeah, you just learned 7 modes, essentially. And a major scale has a mode name, too. It's called Ionian. But again, we're probably just going to call it a major scale, not Ionian. But it's the same thing, if we wanted to call it that. Yeah. And then to come back, so harmonic minor is a very special scale. And it's just a minor scale with a raised 7th. But it gives us a very different sound, because remember when we said we were talking about the key of C major and all its modes, there were no sharps or flats. No matter which mode we played, Dorian, Phrygian, Mixolydian, they were all still just playing essentially the white keys on the piano. They were just using the alphabet letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, over and over, depending on the note we start on. If I think about it, I want to talk a little bit about for a long time when I was a much younger player, I didn't really understand the purpose of modes. I thought, why learn all that? It's really just a C scale, just playing different notes. Who cares? I'm just going to learn it as C scale. I'm not going to worry about Dorian and Phrygian. But what I learned later in life is it really has a lot more to do with the sound. We're talking about the sound of something. You know, so for example, if I just hit my low E as a drone tone and I play in the key of E major on this E string, that's got that very happy, bright E major scale sound. If I play an E minor, is a very different sound. And so in that case, E major had 4 sharps, E minor only had 1. Well, what if I play some of the other modes on that E string that would have a different amount of sharps or flats? I just realized I kind of sidetracked this here, and I hope I'm not making things more confusing. I really kind of want to come back to where I was. I will just say this. Modes quite often are referring to a sound. So if I have this E as a drone tone, and I play in essentially different keys on this E string, I can't call it the key of E major unless I'm really playing in 4 sharps. If I'm playing 3 sharps or 2 sharps, it's not E major anymore. That's where the mode names would come in. That's why we would want to use those mode names to refer to that sound that we're hearing, because it's not like any other sound. And again, that finger picking series I just put up, I actually shot the whole series the same day, but I only put 1 video up so far. They're all coming though. But that talks a bunch about, I go through 4 different sounds using just the low E string. So I'm using that finger pick pattern, and I do E major. And then I do E minor. And I do Mixolydian. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't really hear a big difference. And there's not going to be a huge difference, but it is a difference, because if we're talking about the difference between E major and E Mixolydian, it's only 1 note. They both have an F sharp, G sharp, and a C sharp. But the difference is an E major has a D sharp, and Mixolydian has a D. So when I get to the top of the scale, this is what I would hear for the major. This is what I hear for the minor, or for the Mixolydian, sorry. So again, if I put this E as a little drone, I'm going to move these notes to my high E string. Here's my E on my 12th fret, D sharp on my 11th, C sharp on my 9th. But so I'm going to call that E major. But if I'm playing E Mixolydian, these 2 stayed the same, but instead of D sharp, I have a D. It's a different sound. So I can't call that second sound, even though I'm playing this E string. I can't call it E major. That's not what we're hearing. And even though it's the key of A that I'm playing in now, I don't really want to call it A either, because we are very much hearing a Mixolydian sound, because that's what makes Mixolydian Mixolydian. We hear this E drone. We don't hear this sharp 7. We hear this flat 7. Again, I hope I really didn't go too far off there. But again, part of the idea behind the member section of musiclearning.com is this, all of this info I'm giving you is being given to you in little building block ways. Oh, and if any of you have joined and you did not get a username and password, it's coming. I have so much stuff going on right now with the site, and I know some of, hey, Odie Chris is, hey, how are you, man? Good to see you. Can't stay, I have to work. Oh, it's a bummer. But hey, thanks for stopping in and saying hello. That's totally awesome. I love it. Hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. And I know for some that have been in here before, okay, thank you. Alex says, okay, thank you for the explanation. Not going to lie, it is quite difficult to understand for one like me that has no music theory knowledge. I have to study it, but you kind of simplified it for me. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Alex, because I don't want to scare you with this. I'm talking about a lot of information, and a lot of information that would be explored over, you know, months. If you were studying guitar with me in person, this is stuff we would explore over months. You know, we would just talk about one thing. And again, and there's more viewers in here now, I don't know what level people are at. And, you know, if people have interest in these modes and want me to explore that further, I will. And that's why I love doing the live streams, because I like talking to you all. That's really fun for me, and I like where it's going. I can't wait to see where it's going to be in 6 months when I have regular scheduled live streams and all that stuff happening. But that's why I do the videos too. So just the material. I did the How to Strum the Hotel California thing. A live stream was like 45 minutes long or whatever. And then I thought, well, that's ridiculous. There's so much talking. So I then just went ahead and today posted just the strum pattern. So you can just go in and have a 5-minute video learn the strum pattern. Okay, so let's come back. We're talking about harmonic minor scales is what we're really talking about, but we got sidetracked talking about modes. Not really sidetracked, because it's a part of it, right? This is all part of music theory. But to come back, Alex, to what you just said, because I love that you said that, because you're not alone there. In fact, I know a ton of actually great players who have very little music theory knowledge and are good players. So you don't have to have the knowledge to become a good player, but it opens up the doors to so many other things when we do have the knowledge. And for me, it's kind of fun. I like. So, but here's what I want to say. So we do want to understand the major scale and kind of how they're built. The do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I have a lesson on that. You can find it on musiclearning.com in the free section on chords, or scales, sorry. You know what, though? There's a chance I took that link down, too. I got so much going on. Username and passwords are coming if you join, because I have a free trial membership at the moment. If you didn't get one, it's coming. And yeah, joining the mailing list is probably your best bet, so you'll know what's going on. I'm having even issues with that, but it's okay. It's all getting worked out, and it's all super exciting. Things are going to be so cool here, but it's going to take me a little bit here as I work through sites completely transforming to a new thing completely, and switched my mailing list from what I was using to MailChimp, and anyway, blah, 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 who cares? But I'm working it all out. It's going to be awesome. So we do want to understand the major scale, and ideally we would learn it in the building block section of one piece at a time, and then the relative minor. The modes is just kind of a bonus. I wouldn't get too wrapped up in the modes yet, or the mode names. Really, I played for years and years and didn't know that. And like I said, I have a large amount of musician friends that don't know that stuff, that are fantastic players. I have a good group of friends that know it too, but it depends on the friends. Okay, so let me see. I want to come back to that question really quick, Alex. No music theory knowledge, have to study it. Yeah. So, and oh yeah. So the point there being, don't stress, right? Is, you know, hang out on these live chats with me and take part in the free lessons I do. And oh yeah, Paul just said. Sorry, I know when people's questions come in, I totally get distracted and I forget what I was just talking about. But I love. Wait, no. Oh, geez. But Paul, you know what? I'm going to write that down right now, Paul, because I'm trying to make a little list. Well, I have a huge list of rock stuff people want me to teach, and I just did. I'm actually on it. I think I'm 8 videos. I shot 8 videos over the last couple days. But I'm trying to just put one up every second day. I want to get to where I'm doing a video a day, maybe even 2 a day at some point. But being I've been away from it for so long, I'm kind of easing my way back in, so I don't. So I'm not stopping this time. This time the channel is not stopping. My life is going through some changes, and I very much need some things to happen from the site. One of the misconceptions about my channel, because it's past 26 million views, one of the big misconceptions is people think that I make a lot of money from it because of all the ads. I don't make any money. Oh, I make money, but I mean, I think in the last 6 months I made $84. And that's because when I teach how to play Hotel California, those ads, I don't get any of that. The reason I'm allowed to leave that up there is because the copyright holders are getting the money made from those ads. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be allowed to teach Hotel California or any of these songs I teach. So on all of these lessons that I put up that run ads, there are very few that money goes to me. If I teach do a video on the C major scale, sure, I get that money. But who, you know what I mean? 4 million people watch the Hotel California, you know, 3,000 watch the C major scale. So yeah, so I made 15 cents off that one. Anyway, but sorry, I'm kind of ranting. For Elise, I wrote it down. Erica said she seconds that. That will be an awesome one. Everybody knows it. And I actually have a really good arrangement of it that I've taught plenty in the past, but obviously I haven't taught in a while because I can't even remember it. I will dig it out. And you know what? I'll put that pretty high on the list, I think. Because I wish I had a, anyway, I don't like that word. I wish I had a, I wish. No. I want to be grateful for what I do have. And right now, that's all you in here having fun on this live stream on a Saturday afternoon. The only thing I'm missing is my coffee. Okay, we're coming back to harmonic minor. No, and Erica, we talked about bar chords. We're going to come back to that too. I'm going to say one more thing on Alex's comment though about the music theory, because I think it's important. Oh, and Paul is saying, I'm sorry, Paul, let me, oh, I see. What kind of theory is used in like Beethoven pieces? Awesome. Yeah, that's heavy, Paul. That's fantastic. Yeah, well, I would love to do that. Analyzing some classical pieces. Now, classical music, like jazz, is a little different than, it's still using the 12 tones, 7 alphabet letters, 5 sharps or flats. The one thing that is very different with those music, with classical music, it depends on the era we're in. You know, whether we're talking about Brogue, Romantic, classical. I didn't say this in the right order, but the time period of those composers and what was written. And man, early music history in regards to that is fascinating for anybody that has interest, because you have to remember at one point in time there were no instruments, you know, so voices and hitting things would be the very beginnings of music, rhythm and woo, whatever sounds would be made, right? How crazy. And then eventually it stemmed into like very early recorders, right? Taking a piece of bamboo and blowing through it and getting a tone and realizing, oh, if I cut that bamboo in half, I get a different tone. If I get a bigger bamboo, I get another tone. And then eventually if I poke holes in it, I get more tones, and then hence the recorder and early recorders, and then it moves. But no, music theory, early theory is fascinating. And oh, what Eric said, just got called off work so I can stay. Oh, you were gonna have to leave, but now you don't have to. Erica was gonna have to leave for work, but now she can stay and practice. Yeah, that's awesome. I can't even believe we've been on here as long as we had. I think yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm having fun and there's people in here, so if you're game to stay, let's stay. At some point I am going to want to make coffee though. But I do want to come back to I have my list of practice tips, so we've only talked about the two top things so far. That's okay. But this is more important. I again think the whole point of the live stream is to meet you guys and girls and say hi, and for a chance for you. You know, I know a few of you have been in a few of these clinics. I've only done a handful so far, and I'm seeing return visitors, which is awesome. And I'm assuming that will just keep growing and growing. And yeah, I think now like is the time when you have, you know, me here to answer, because obviously I'm sure when, you know, we're looking at 88 viewers watching as opposed to 5, it's going to get a lot harder to answer questions and be specific. So take my knowledge, do something with it. Yeah, I like that idea, Paul. I like that idea a lot about talking about Beethoven and relating it to music theory. And we could use that piece if specifically. My goodness, that's driving me bonkers. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to drive myself crazy. I'll find the music. I'll practice it for a couple days in a row to get good at it. I'll teach it, and then we'll have a live stream where we just talk about breaking that piece down. So I'll finish saying what I was going to about classical music and jazz. So all of the stuff we've been talking about music theory, very much when we talk about pop radio, again, whether we're talking country or rock or metal, some metal actually will deviate. I guess actually a bit of metal deviates when I think about it. But jazz definitely, and classical. In other words, what they're doing, they're still using the 12 tones, but they're more likely to be switching keys a lot. So for example, we grab a song off the radio right now, whatever song that we're digging and that we like. I'm really liking that new Kings of Leon song. Yeah, Paul, it's definitely a minor thing for sure, but it has some interesting stuff going on in there. And for two, it's got an E minor chord. It's got a B7 chord in there, which is leading a little bit to. Anyway, yeah, we will totally. I mean, if I knew exactly where the sheet music was, I would grab it right now and we could start kind of analyzing it right now. Suppose I could just look it up too. It's always that, the internet, we're on it. Anyway, but classical music and jazz, classical music depending on the time it was written, but yeah, we'll explore. They're kind of in and out of different keys more often. Still using the 12 tones, but not necessarily staying in one tonal center like we would hear in pop music. Pop music, you know, if it's written in the key of D, you know, if we're talking about a Taylor Swift song, it's written in the key of D. And every chord that is in it is from the key of D. And every melody and musical idea we hear in the song is from that D scale. And I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form to demean that music. I love pop music. I love jazz and I love classical music. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form demeaning Taylor Swift or pop music. Just saying that the nature of pop music tends to be written in a key. Okay, so let's see. We kind of got, so we were talking about, Alex had the big thing about music theory, and yeah, you don't want to get scared by it. You just want to learn little pieces at a time, understanding your major scale and its relative minor. That's probably the biggest important one, especially for getting together with other people and jamming, and you can mention a key and understand where those chords come from in that key and what is available to you to play when you're just, you know, playing. And then there's modes of a harmonic minor scale too. We're definitely not going to go there today though, because I feel like I've already thrown too much theory at us. But our minor scale. Erica is saying, this is completely unrelated, but do you have any classic rock songs to learn? Maybe something that would help me get better at bending strings and getting the tight tone. Yeah, I do, Erica. Actually, on the channel, I think I have a lesson just on bending. So I think if you type in on my search on my channel, bending, I think you'll find a lesson on that. It's older with that old camera. I think, you know, April 17th marks 10 years of me being on YouTube. Isn't that nuts? And I'm kind of thinking of potentially trying to go back and redo every video with the, yeah, I figured you meant right tone, Erica. It's funny because Erica just said right tone, not tight tone. And I knew you meant right tone, but I still read tight tone. But, you know, that's a term that's used too, a tone being tight, you know, like especially when, or a band being tight, you know, just referring to, for certain frequencies and certain sounds. So it could have been, but I knew you meant right, the right tone. But so there's a bending lesson. So that would be a good one. And classic rock songs to learn. What do I have on the channel with bending? I think I have an AC/DC song and solo. So you could type in AC/DC, see what you get. That has some bending, as I think. Yeah. It's getting hard. Again, just having said I've just been on 10 years. It's harder. Yeah, let me think about that, Erica. I'll maybe make a note. There has to be more than just the one I'm thinking of. But I know I did a lesson on bending, so that'll be there. It's just on bending. And then and the AC/DC, I know I did one of the solos, but I think it's a solo. That might be a little. Are you bending on an acoustic, Erica? It's tough to bend on an acoustic. Guitar wasn't. My guitar was not happy about that. I have an electric as well. Yeah, you probably want electric for bending. It's tough to bend on an acoustic for sure. Yeah, I just wrote that down though, Erica, and then maybe, you know, the next live stream or one of the next live streams, if I see you all, if maybe I'll have a more, because I know there's definitely more on my channel that use bending, but I'm totally blank at the moment as to what else would be up there. Okay, so we were talking about the practice tips, and I don't know, we talked about warming up our fingers and scales, which lent us into a bunch of music theory. That's the beauty of scales. You're actually working on music theory as you're working on your technique and building scales and learning your fretboard. So there's a whole bunch of benefits from that one. And then we said chords, spending some time every day on chords, right? Building that chord vocabulary. So and then Erica had asked about some tips for bar chords. There's a bunch of shapes of bar chords that we definitely want to know. And you know how we were talking a little bit ago about understanding our major scales and our minor scales, and that's important. So another thing that's very important would be taking these 6-string chords. So I say these chords that go across all 6 strings, and knowing the minor and the major shape. So the minor shape is built on this E minor chord. You probably know that, right? I just have my 1st and 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of 4th and 5th string. If I move that up a half step, if I could move this nut a half step, it would be F minor. This was E minor, half step is F minor. But I can't move the nut. I could put a capo there and then just play my E minor the same way. Or I bar my finger, F minor. So this is an important shape. I move it a whole step, it's G minor. Now, tips for playing it. Yeah, bar chords in the beginning are rough completely. A couple tips though. One, with my 1st finger when I bar, I actually in this minor chord, I can't do it in the major because I need it, but in the minor chord, I can push my 2nd finger over my 1st finger to apply a little pressure to help get those notes to sound. A couple of things you can do, you can focus on just getting, strings 4, 5, 6 to sound, which is a power chord. It's not even a minor chord until I hear that 3rd string. That's the minor, that's the C. That's the C that makes A minor minor. If I play C sharp, which is the 6th fret of that same string, whoops, there's A major, A minor. So if you look at just strings 3, 4, 5, and 6 here for a moment, only one note is changing whether we hear a major or a minor. Other tips then, so on the minor chord, you can push this down to try to get these notes to sound. Another thing is just realizing that your hands will get stronger and it'll be easier and easier to play these chords. Oh, and the major, I'm putting that 2nd finger. So the reason we want to know that particular shape is you just learned 24 chords. Because if this is A major, if I slide it up a half step, it's B flat major, B major, C major, C sharp major, or C sharp minor, C minor, B minor, B flat minor, A minor, A flat minor. Could also call it G sharp minor. With those flats and sharps, they each have 2 names, and we won't go there today. But there's a reason that we would sometimes call this A flat, and sometimes call it G sharp. And there is a correct name, depending on what key we're talking about playing in. If I'm just saying to a friend, hey, play my 4th fret of my E string, play G sharp or play A flat, they're both right. But if I'm talking about it in reference to a key, if I'm talking about the key of E major, I wouldn't call this A flat. I would call it G sharp. And part of that is because when we build major scales, we must use every alphabet letter. So if you go your E major scale and you go E, F sharp, and then you're going to call this A flat instead of G sharp, you skip the letter G. You can't skip a letter. It has to be called G sharp and then A. If I was building, say, an A flat scale, then I would call that A flat, not G sharp, because the same thing, if I call it G sharp, I'm not using an A. Hope that made some sense. Anyway, so those minor chords. So I want to just tie our harmonic minor scale we did from like 20 minutes ago to this minor chord. So the harmonic minor, for anybody that might just have joined us or missed that part of it, we're just on our 6th string, 5th fret. We're going 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8 again on our 5th string, then 6, 7 on our 4th string. Gives us the sound of a harmonic minor scale. In this case, A harmonic minor. So I can use my A minor scale or my A minor chord we just talked about. So again, just messing around, but I'm using my bar chord and I'm using harmonic minor scale. We're only on 3 strings. We might want to, you know. We might want to move it past just the 1 octave, but it's a good idea when you first do your scales to do 1 octave for learning the fretboard and training your ear. Sometimes if you keep going past that, there's too many sounds for the ear to really absorb the information. Okay, I tell you what I'm going to do, because I don't think we'll be on here for a whole lot longer. Oh, Paul has a question. Let me see what Paul says here, and then we'll come back to just the other few things on my list, because I'd like to finish them up. I don't think I will leave this live stream up. I'm still really torn between whether leaving the live streams on the channel or not. Because I mean, I think they would be useful, but at the same time, I feel like they're pretty scattered. You know, they're kind of all over the place. So I don't know. I've left a couple up, and the other ones I've deleted. Paul, it is better to learn everything. I mean, how people use theories in their pieces. It is not about classical. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Not about classical or a rock thing. Yeah, yeah. Couldn't be any more correct. Yeah, it's yeah, it's the same. I mean, that's what I always tell beginner students. It's the same 12 tones. You know, whether it's nuts, whether we're talking about a Beethoven symphony or a Slayer song or a Taylor Swift song, or Dave Brubeck or Miles Davis song. Yeah, it's all the same 12 tones. It's wild. You know, it's nutty when you think what is created with those same 12 notes. Yeah, it's bonkers. It's amazing, really. And what the even more amazing part to me is that, and I don't mean to say this as to be frightening, but to me, it's like, you know, we get to spend our life learning about this, you know, and that part excites me. It's not like I learned it, okay, I got it, I'm done. I until my fingers will not play, I can continue to learn more about music and the guitar, and yeah, it's exciting. It's amazing, you know. I mean, I guess maybe a lot of things are like that in life, right? I was thinking like, well, if you know how to make a sandwich, but maybe you can make it better. But can you really make a peanut butter sandwich better? You know, maybe no. I don't. Could you? I don't know. Different bread, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. So my phone beeping. That's hey Reggie. He's watching, but he's not. He's just telling me. So Reggie plays in the band that I play with at the Roxy. But as some of you may know, it's coming to an end. Hence these live streams and all the changes in my life, and why I'm getting back busy on the site and on the YouTube channel and having fun reconnecting with people. So Paul, yeah, you're right, Paul. So it's just about, yeah, and it's that non-judgmental thing. It's like was it Eckhart Tolle, whatever his name is, the German-based kind of philosopher, kind of whatever we call him, but he says there's 3 things to living a good life, and it's non-judgmental, don't be judgmental, non-attachment, don't get too attached to things. Oh my goodness, I'm going to forget the 3rd thing. I go around saying these 3 things to remind myself all the time. It'll come to me in a minute. I could look it up because it's in my phone too, I'm sure. But it'll come back to me. Anyway, but yeah, being non-judgmental. And that's the thing there, that music theory applies to all types of music and how people like to use those notes to create different. I think it's awesome, whatever that is. Even if, you know, sometimes we hear stuff that doesn't necessarily appeal to our ear, but I generally still have a respect for anybody creating anything, you know, even if it doesn't appeal to my ear. So Erica said, that was really cool. I like combining the scale and the bar chord. Yeah, I do stuff like that all the time. I love to take a chord and then relate it to a scale or a shape. And then as I go up my fretboard, I constantly do that so that the fretboard makes more and more sense all the time. Yeah, Erica said, to make the peanut butter better, a little sliced banana. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just introduced my youngest to peanut butter and banana. Elvis Presley loved peanut butter and banana, I guess. Yeah, it's good. I don't have any bananas. I can't do it right now. Yeah, okay, so let's continue on. So we did our warm-ups, which we said we could move into scales. We have our chords. We said always work to increase your chord vocabulary, and that doesn't end. If you think there's no more chords to learn, you're crazy. I don't like that. You're not crazy, but there's more chords to learn. I'm not a big fan of those books that are like 7,444 chords. And trying to, not that there's anything wrong with those books. They're good reference material if you're trying to look up a chord quickly. But I think if we're talking about long-term learning chords and having that a part of your practice routine, it's more important to connect it to understanding the fretboard. Like, so, you know, when we talked about, you know, so if I just play an F triad like this, I have my F, my A, and my C. My third fret of my fourth string, second fret of my third string, first fret of my second string. It's just an F triad. In root position, we call it. F, A, C, root, third, and fifth. If I move, that's the same three notes, just in a different order. Now, A is on the bottom, C is in the middle, F is on the top, called first inversion. Here's the same three notes again, and the 10th, called second, and then back to root. So if I then move this chord up a whole step, it's a G chord. If I lower the third, it's a G minor chord. But now you notice the G minor chord had a B flat in it. So by understanding a bit of music theory and learning some keys, to me, there's a better way to learn our chords than to trying to memorize them out of a chord book. I think it's kind of learning the basics of music theory, which is basically understanding your major and your minor scale, and the modes eventually. But I said that doesn't have to. That can be way down the road. And we'll get into harmonic minor and melodic minor scales like we've talked a little bit in this lesson earlier. Those are fun too. We don't hear them as often if we're talking about pop music. That doesn't mean we shouldn't explore them and learn them though. That's still important. But so that's the beauty of understanding a bit of music theory when we approach that, when we take that knowledge to our chords, is that it's endless. So for example, something I might do with my chords when I want to keep learning more chords. So I learned this F triad. It's just a triad, but it allows me to know that the three notes in an F chord are F, A, and C. That's it. When I play this big bar F, that's still just F, A, and C. I have an F, a C, an F, an A, a C, and an F. So I had three Fs in this chord. A low F, an F in the middle, a high F. I had two Cs, I had one A. Funny enough, the A is the one that makes the chord go from major to minor. So of the 6 strings I'm playing, only one string is going to make it sound minor versus major. So that's why if you're playing bar chords and you're like, I can't make my minor chord sound like a minor chord, because if that third string is not ringing, we don't hear it. We need to hear that third string. F major with the A, F minor with the A flat. Anyway, but by doing the triads, we're looking at just the 3 notes in the chord. You're not worried about trying to make sense of 6 notes, right? Now, if I learned my F scale, I would learn that the key of F has 1 flat. So when I move my chord up to the second note, that 1 flat is a B flat. I can't play my B. I have to play a B flat. So I have the 2 chord in the key of F. It's a G minor chord. Anyway, this will be a different. I'm actually getting ready to do a whole chord breakdown on understanding chords in a key to go on the page in musiclearning.com. It's in desperate need of an update. And so that's coming probably within the next 5 days, 5 or 7 days. Hopefully 5. I would like it to be closer to the top of the list. So I'm not going to go any further than that. Point being, there's a lot of ways to learn chords, and you should always have that a part of your practice routine, that you're trying to bring 1 or 2 new chords into your playing at all times, you know. Again, don't go crazy. Just grab 1 new one at a time and work it into an exercise. Or, you know, when you find a song that has a chord in it you don't know, that works too. Okay, well, which brings us to the next thing, rhythm. We talked about rhythm earlier in the lesson with the warm-up exercise. I think it's always important to be pushing your rhythm playing, both strumming and just rhythmically on 1 string. So again, musiclearning.com, the membership section it just keeps expanding on the past rhythm in a very logical way. so we don't get overwhelmed. That's sometimes hard when you're just randomly trying to find stuff online, right? That's where the systems come in place. Anyway, yeah, so same thing though. You just want to pick, you know, one little rhythm thing. I just did the video I just posted a couple hours ago is one of the strum patterns from Hotel California. It's just a strum pattern. It's used all over the place. It just happens to be one used in Hotel. That start there and look. It's just a one measure riff, or one measure pattern. But by finding a new pattern constantly to bring in and make part of your playing, that's important. Again, we're going to expand that as we continue. So you might want to subscribe if anybody's in here and has not subscribed. Let me see. Alex, have to go. Thanks again and have a nice day. When the next stream going to be? Alex, thank you so much. Thanks for coming in and thanks for sharing, asking some questions and stuff. It's really what makes these so cool. So thank you. The next stream, I don't know. I might do one tomorrow. You know, at this point, I'm kind of doing them randomly. It's not going to stay that way. I am going to pick some solid times that I do them every week, or I am going to make a schedule page on musiclearning.com that has what I'm going to teach each week. And I think the plan will be, you know, say Monday 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, strumming. Wednesday, whatever time, rhythms or soloing or whatever, and there'll be these different topics. But I think I've decided that I think they're going to have to change because people are watching from all over the world at different time zones. So I think if Monday at 3 is always finger picking, and people can't watch that, then they're going to miss them also. Anyway, I don't know, but yeah, Alex, hit the notification bell if you haven't on my channel. That will let you know when the live streams are, and I'm going to try to get better at putting them a little more in advance. I know now I just tend to like, oh, I think I'm going to stream in an hour, and I just pop up and I stream. But again, it's really just because I'm testing the waters still a lot. But yeah, very, very soon. So hit the notification bell, Alex, and you'll know when I do it again. Thanks so much for being in here. That was awesome. We're almost done anyway, so you almost made it to the end. We're only going to go like maybe another 10 minutes tops. So arpeggios should be a daily part of your practice routine, and they should connect very much to your chord. So let's say your new chord is that A minor chord, because Eric, we were talking about a bar chord. So the arpeggio that would make sense to go with this A minor chord, it's using that chord shape. So if you've never played this arpeggio before, this is what this looks like. We're going to put our first finger on the 5th fret of that A, the E string gives us an A. Our pinky will play the C on the same string. That's the 3rd of an A minor chord. Then our 3rd finger will play the E, 7th fret of your 5th string. It will drop down to play A, 7th fret of your 4th string. So far we have A, C, E, A. You can practice just that. Then our first finger is going to go to the 5th string, or the 5th fret, and it's going to play, we're going to go across all 3 strings. So I'm just kind of laying it across all 3. And then my pinky will hit this high C, 8th fret on top of the E. And I'm just kind of sweeping that. So I'm just, my pick goes down, down, and then it goes down, 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 down. So when I can go up, I go up. When I can go down, I can go down. You can alternate pick the whole thing too. Both would be good exercises for sure. So now I have this A minor chord that let's just for the sake of this stream, say that it's my new chord for my practice routine that I've added into my practice routine. And I'm gonna take whatever new rhythm I just learned. I'm going to apply that to, I should have used the one I just did from the Hotel California earlier. So if I can't even really remember what it was, I think it was, yeah, that. So let's assume that was my new rhythm, which that video just went up a few hours ago, so you can check that out if you want to learn that pattern. So that's my new pattern, let's assume. And then I have my chord and my arpeggio. and then my scale, which in this particular case we chose A harmonic minor. So look, for our practice thing, so far, look what we've just covered and that we want to try to work on this, you know, for about a week, daily for a week if we can. You only have to spend a couple minutes on each topic though. Like a couple minutes every day is huge on the same material. That's the important thing though. You have to write this down and you have to stay consistent with it. But that being said, it's also very, very important to just have fun and play. So I always tell students, you know, if you pick up your guitar and you never touch any of that stuff on the list and you just pick it up and play, that's worth its weight in gold too. You're playing your instrument and you're learning. So that's the, you know, you want to just pick it up and play and have fun playing. But we're talking about having a practice routine that is quite strict. I don't like to use the word strict, but it's a routine. It's things that you know, if I play each of these things for a few minutes each a day, so maybe altogether, maybe my practice is 20 minutes long, but I do it daily, I'm going to grow as a player. Hands down, there's no way that I will not. Yeah, and so that's what we got. So we're saying, again, we're just pretending for today. Our new chord was, our new warm-up. I mean, we did at the beginning, we did finger gymnastics, but we're going to say that can work its way into scales. So we have a harmonic minor scale. We have then our chords, which is this new A minor chord. We might expand on that later and do some inversions of an A minor triad on strings 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Technical difficulties. What's left? Okay, so we had our scale, our chord, our rhythm, our arpeggio, and then improv. Two things left, and I'll kind of connect them into the same thing. Improvising and then songs. I believe improvising should be a part of daily practice. And if you're talking about these scales and chords and stuff, they're a lot more fun to practice if we have some sort of jam track. And I have a bunch of jam tracks in the member section of the site. But yeah, we throw on a jam track and then we can play the scale and it sounds, you know, way more musical because there's bass and drums happening. And we can use all of this stuff everything we've talked about thus far can become part of our improvising. We can put that rhythm that we just learned. We can put the chords that we just learned. We have to find the right jam track. And again, the point of the site. And then songs. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll close this up, wrap this up. Yeah, it's for why did we start playing guitar in the first place? Probably to learn songs. So it's very, very important you always learn songs. So yeah, and that, like all of these other topics we are talking about, part of the trick there is finding the right song in the right order. You know, you take something that's too difficult, it gets frustrating and hard. You take something that's too easy, and you don't really feel like you're growing. So I've always felt kind of one of my roles as a teacher is to find those right songs. And ones I want to learn. I don't like really forcing somebody to learn a Green Day song and they don't like Green Day. But so one of the things I do right off the bat when students first start is we start a list on the back of their book. I always have students get a notebook, a manuscript notebook, and or just a duotang, and we add the sheets to it. But because I don't use a book, I very much personalize everybody's lesson. I always have. I think it's the best way to really, you know. And then students study with me for a couple years. They have these crazy books that were like made specifically for them, but could be used for all kinds of people. I actually wish that I had every book that I've ever helped students create over the years. It would be amazing. I would have this gigantic, but I don't. Anyway, it's all up here. Not really, but pieces of it are. So it's finding that song. But, you know, maybe we could even do this. Even I don't know, like if I could do it just with all the people watching the live stream, or if I could do it with members of musiclearning.com or something, but it might be a good idea. So like with my students, I have them right from the first lesson on the back page of the book, we start a list. And basically every time they ever hear or think of a song that they would like to play, we put it on that list. And then what that does is I can go to that list, and I mean, if I don't know the song, I have to hear it. But, you know, in some cases I know the song, or at least know of it. I can look at that list and be like, this is what we should do next. And then this is the one we should do after that. Because that's the trick to growing on the instrument. We don't want stuff that's too crazy hard. We get frustrated and we want to quit. And if it's too easy, we don't feel like we're growing. And if we don't feel like we're growing, it doesn't take very long before we lose interest, right? It's like snowboarding or golf. You know, if you go out and you play, but you're not getting any better, or you're snowboarding and you're just not, it doesn't take too long and you lose interest. We have to see growth. In every area of our life, really, we have to see growth to really feel good about it. So, yeah, so the trick is the right song in the right order to really feel like that we're moving forward. Which just reminded me, though, I could probably even do some live streams and stuff designed to help other teachers, or especially younger teachers, or anyway, I don't know. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I got some great ideas from this live stream, though. I'm gonna sign off. I really want coffee. I'm getting hungry, and I have a big day ahead. I'm planning on making a bunch of videos, and the one I'm most looking forward to making, I'm doing a looping video of one of the new tripfuse songs. Woo! And I actually put the video up. It's not very long. You have to just go back a little bit in my recent videos, and I'm just sitting on a couch playing this guitar thing that I kind of stumbled across and came up with these melodies. Well, I've been working on this song a bunch, and I've added a whole bunch of stuff to it, and so I'm going to do a looping video of that. That'll be really cool. That's today. And what else is on my list today? I think I'm going to do Master of Puppets today. I just did a Korn song a couple days ago. I did a cool Breaking Benjamin one. They're not up yet. I'm kind of doing them in bulk and then releasing them every couple days. Eventually, the hope is to do one a day. Okay, I think I want to say bye to everybody, and I want to say thanks for watching. So cool. You guys rock. You're awesome. And just the last couple things that were said here. Paul said maybe sometime we'll talk about B.B. King, like he was picking notes to make his blue thing. Yeah, B.B. King was awesome. I saw B.B. King in Cleveland years ago. It was very inspiring. Yeah, great player, but just himself too, like his talking in between his songs, and it was very cool. Yeah, I'd love to talk. We could definitely talk about some B.B. King. I never taught really any B.B. King, but yeah, maybe any songs in particular, Paul? I'll look something up, though. Let me add that to my list, too. B.B. King. That'd be cool, because I have a blues list started on things I want to do on the blues, and I don't have any B.B. King on that list, so that'd be awesome. And Erica, oh, that's exciting. I can't wait for the looping video. Oh, thanks. She said your last one was tight. Not right, tight. Thanks, Erica. That's awesome. Yeah, I like making those, and they're fun because they make me feel. I love writing music, and I would love to be playing my stuff again, not covers like I have been the last bit. And yeah, I'm hoping that's part of what's about to happen. Yeah, okay. That's it. Thanks again, everybody, for coming in and watching and being part, and the questions, and it was excellent. I hope it was fun for you. I think I will delete it. I think this one was really long, had a lot of blah, blah, blah in it. But I might do a video of the practice tips and make it very short and concise. That might be kind of cool. If not, I'll put a page up on the site for sure. It's on the list of things to do anyway. Okay. Anybody, any last minute questions? You want help with anything? It's funny, I'm just about to sign off and a couple more people came in, but sorry, we've been on here for a little over an hour. It was almost an hour and a half, I guess. And oh yeah, Erica says, have a good time filming and making music the rest of the day. As always, thanks, Teague. Thank you, Erica. Thanks for being in here. And I think I said this before. It means a lot, right? I love seeing the repeat people coming in. It shows a lot of support, and you know, it makes me feel there'll be more and more people joining us. You know, with the same wanting to learn. So that's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Erica. I'm anxious for coffee right now. So I'm gonna leave. If anybody just came in, sorry you missed it. But subscribe to the channel. Lots more live streaming coming that involves anything to do with guitar, and lots more videos coming. So Paul says make a proper list. Yeah, like one that shows up down the side of the screen, right? Yeah, I will, Paul. It'll be there for sure. The streaming times. Yes, Paul says make a proper list, like days and times. Yes, Paul, absolutely. Yeah, I know. And topics. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna get on that. So far, I guess the only reason I have not done that is I've just been trying different times just to see how many people just come in randomly, you know. But I will let you know, Paul, as soon as I have it posted. I'll make a page on musiclearning.com. It'll probably be musiclearning.com/live streaming or streaming classes or something like that. And I'll make sure it's right on the home page of the site. You know, I'll have one of these pictures of just like this. Maybe that's exactly what it'll look like. And then I will, and then you'll go there and I'll just keep it updated. And like I said, I think each week, there'll be different topics, but without a doubt, Paul, that it will happen. So hopefully within the next few days. Again, I got a whole bunch of stuff on my plate that I'm trying to get all sorted out with all this, but it's very, very fun and very, very exciting. So I'm gonna say bye for real. I'm gonna go make some coffee and peanut butter. Oh no, I don't have any banana. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you very soon. Okay, I'm gonna make a few more videos today, and I'll post another video tomorrow. Have fun with the strum video today if you don't know that pattern. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Awesome.